You described earlier that a simple wobble will make the difference between whether this is catastrophic for Tampa or not.
Yeah, it could make a very big difference just where the eye of this storm lands. And we still don't know, even though it is just a few hours away at this point. If it does land north of downtown Tampa, you're going to have the winds that rotate counterclockwise around a hurricane, pushing that wall of water straight into Tampa Bay. That's why everyone's so worried about a northern landfall. But as the mayor was alluding to there just a moment ago, if it lands south of the city, which is sort of the track that it's on right now, that just means it's going to be somebody else's very, very bad problem, and the city will still take a major hit.
As we take a look at the map, David, for our viewers on Bloomberg TV and on YouTube, the track of this storm brings it through central Florida. What will it mean for Orlando and for the East Coast? Can it stay a damaging storm after it touches land?
It's forecast to stay a hurricane as it makes its way across the state. Now, a fortunate thing here is if you look at the projected path, it looks like it's going to make a straight shot across the state, west to east, and emerge on the Atlantic coast tomorrow. Now, the forecasters are predicting that it will still be a hurricane at that point, that it will reemerge as a hurricane into the Atlantic. But fortunately, they're projecting that it will keep going due east and more or less vacate the coast. It's not going to linger around the southeast the way we've seen other storms behave in the past.
Fascinating. We've seen tornadoes emerge in this storm as well, David. What does that mean and the potential for more destructive weather when it's over land?
We are also focused on the storm surge right now, the water that's going to come crashing into the coast in the next few hours, that it's easy to overlook some of those impacts. But we have had major rain pounding the state pretty much all the way through today. There are tornado watches out there. Now, hurricanes tend to spawn relatively small tornadoes, but that is absolutely no consolation if it happens to go right over your house. So this is just another threat factor with this storm that already has winds strong enough to damage a lot of buildings.
Yeah, that's for sure. With a live view of the beach at Fort Myers right now and palms that are pointing sideways. Bloomberg's David Baker, we thank you. That storm expected to make landfall overnight, sometime after midnight. And earlier today, President Biden addressed the barrage of misinformation that has been surrounding these storms. Let's listen.
There's been a reckless, irresponsible, and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies that are disturbing people. It's undermining confidence in the incredible rescue and recovery work that has already been taken and will continue to be taken. It's harmful to those who need help the most. There is simply no place for this to happen.
Continuing a conversation we've been having all week now about this, Bloomberg's Texas bureau chief, Julie Fine. This is a strange moment we're at here, Julie. Normally you hear about price gouging at gas stations, maybe a couple of scams when a storm rolls through. But misinformation on this level in many cases being propagated by the Trump campaign and amplified by Elon Musk on X could in fact put people in danger. What's the point of all this?
Well, I mean, people are hearing right now that FEMA funds are being mismanaged, that they're actually going to migrants. The White House coming out and saying, no, there's a completely different fund for disasters. People are hearing that they're only going to get $750 in aid. People are hearing that their governors are not able to connect with the White House. I mean, you heard Governor DeSantis say this week he is working with President Biden. Then today, J.D. Vance, of course, the Republican nominee for vice president, coming out, making the decision to come out right now with an op-ed saying that the Biden-Harris administration has mismanaged Helene, talking about that they're saying that they treated the situation like a public relations disaster instead of a real one. Now, we do know there were issues in getting troops and help there on time. But, Joe, I think you have to remember there are people that are in really serious danger right now. What they need to be hearing from the government is this is how you can be safe and this is how we are going to help you. So there's a lot of misinformation going around. That, of course, leads to sniping between political officials, and people that are just scared are probably very frustrated hearing all this.
Well, that's got to be for sure. Certainly if they're being put in danger here. And look, we're still talking about the last storm. This is largely Hurricane Helene that we're discussing, Julie Fine. We've got another one that's about to hit. And when you see the likes of North Carolina Congressman Chuck Edwards putting out this list of debunked rumors, including whether or not the storm was geoengineered by the government to seize and access lithium deposits in Chimney Rock. This is some of the stuff that's on social media right now. Is Joe Biden, is the administration able to get ahead of this same routine now in Florida?
Well, I think they have some experience with it now, and I think that is part of the reason you saw President Biden speaking so strongly today. I mean, this is not where people's information should be, and that's what they're trying to get across. So what I'm watching to see is how President Biden handles it, but also how Vice President Harris handles it, because you have both of them, of course, appearing to work together on this, but she'll have to talk about it as well. So it will be interesting to see how both of them handle this, especially if this is a storm that becomes what is expected to be. There are going to be so many questions in the next few days, and I can't imagine anyone will want to hear any back and forth unless it involves how can you get me safer and how can you help me in this situation.
Hope someone's listening to Julie Fine. Bloomberg's Julie Fine, our Texas bureau chief. Thank you, as always. Turning to the Middle East now, another story we're following very closely. President Biden and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu actually spoke today. They met by phone. This call following the cancellation of a trip to Washington by Israel's defense minister, which had been scheduled for today. Here's White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre earlier.
The two leaders had an opportunity to talk directly. Like I said, it was productive. It was direct. It lasted about 30 minutes. And this is on top of more than a dozen calls that the president and the prime minister have had since October 7th of last year.
Joining us now for more is Bloomberg's Dan Flatley from our national security team here in Washington. Dan, the readout that followed from the White House says that Joe Biden condemned unequivocally Iran's ballistic missile attack against Israel October 1st, but then it leaps immediately to Lebanon and says the president affirmed Israel's right to protect its citizens from Hezbollah specifically, and it makes no mention of responding to Iran. What do you make of that?
You know, I think it's interesting that the defense minister called off his trip, Joe, and that, you know, that there does seem to be on the Israeli side a determination to carry out strikes against Iran. Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, said today that that response would be lethal and that would be surprising, and that essentially Iran would not know what hit it, to paraphrase a little bit there. So, you know, the discussion between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu is certainly important from a top-level perspective. I don't know that whatever President Biden has to say to Netanyahu at this point is going to forestall the attack that Israel seems to have in mind, the response that they have in mind. Although, as you said, that phrasing is interesting because it does seem to suggest that the U.S. is still intent on a ceasefire deal, not just with regard to Hamas in Gaza, but also to see a cessation of the fighting on the northern border of Israel with Lebanon.
That statement you mentioned from Yoav Gallant, quote, an attack on Iran will be deadly, precise, and above all surprising, he said, Dan. They will not understand what happened and how it happened. Does that suggest something other than a ballistic missile attack or a military action?
To me, it does. You know, we saw, I think we talked about this the other day, Joe, that, you know, when Israel responded to the attack by Iran in April, they targeted a specific air defense site in Iran. And Biden seems to be telegraphing to Israel that they should do something similar, that they should confine themselves to military targets and not civilian infrastructure or oil infrastructure, things of that nature, in order to keep this conflict somewhat contained. You know, what Gallant said there seems to indicate that what will come may be done akin to what we saw with the pagers in Lebanon, with the Hezbollah pagers, or something that is a little bit more surreptitious or discreet in nature than a ballistic missile strike. And, you know, as we saw with the pager incident, what that has going for it in a certain sense is the psychological impact of, hey, we can get you wherever you are. You may not know that we're already there. And Israel has shown itself to be capable of that kind of operation in the past. So maybe they're judging that will have more of a psychological impact, will have more of an impact potentially on Iran's operations than a direct overt attack. But
maybe not as escalatory. Yeah, we
have
have a lot
potentially
still.